Dear colleagues, I will talk about the role of sexuality education. I'm very sorry I couldn't attend the meeting this time. I have been attending every meeting since 1986, but now for various reasons it wasn't possible. I'm very sorry for that. I would like to have met all of you. Here you have my declaration of interest. A point is I was acting as president of Fiji in 2001 to 2007. Now, sexuality education in one way or the other has always been around. It's a question about giving it proper quality, how it is provided. Particularly, sexuality education in school has been shown to improve knowledge and support informed and responsible choices. A cornerstone for development of sexuality education was the WHO Regional Office for Europe and the German Health Education Center publication Standards for Sexuality Education in Europe, worked out by a large international expert group for which I have the privilege to be part of. It provides a framework for policymakers, educational and health authorities, and specialists. 2 years later, a similar publication appeared in the US with National Sexuality Education Standards. I think it was renewed in 2020. The European standards is being renewed at present. The aims of the European standards were to assure the quality of sexuality education, to assure a positive approach to sexuality and support age-appropriate development, to assure the rights of children and youth to comprehensive, correct information, to give teachers, parents, and other stakeholders a framework for their own roles and support that. The first part of the standards is general text, and the second is a data matrix grouped according to ages. The youngest age group is 0 to 4, and the oldest 15 up. And there are 8 general themes. For all, it should be provided information, skills, and attitudes. As an example, you have here for the age group 12 to 50-year-old, the theme human body and development. And information is to be given, among others, about the menstrual cycle and secondary sexual characteristics, their function and accompanying feelings. And skills enable the student to describe how people's feelings about their bodies can affect health. Among attitudes, development of critical thinking related to body modification, just as an example. The standards provide answers to the question, what and when regarding sexuality education, and the how is in the second publication, guidance on implementation. And the third publication was about evaluation. The documents have been translated to many languages and largely spread. Do we have information about the right indicators? We have available data about sexual and reproductive health of adolescents. We know quite well, at least in Europe, abortion and delivery rates and incidence of STIs. We know a little less about sexual behavior and contraceptive use from various surveys. Sexual abuse still we know less about, and other health aspects like happiness and quality of life, the information is quite weak or at least variable. We can look at present ways how sexual and reproductive health services of adolescents are provided, and about education of professionals. Douglas Corby produced large reviews about sex and HIV education programs, their impact particularly on sexual behavior of young people, and he showed that sexuality education indeed works. 2/3 of the programs significantly improved one or more factor regarding sexual behaviors. The evidence is strong that programs do not hasten or increase sexual behavior, which sometimes has been a fear. Of the 54 studies measuring program impact on condom use, about half showed increased condom use, none found decreased condom use. There are 3 ways of providing sexuality education in schools. Sexuality education should be well planned, continuous, and adapted to the development stage. All these ways we have tried in Finland. The first one in the 70s and 80s was having sexuality education as a topic of its own. Then it was a rather small topic and teachers were not trained specifically for that. Indeed, it was often seen by the teacher as a punishment if she or he had to provide the sexuality education lessons. Second option, how it's been done in many countries today, is integrated into other topics and provided by various teachers. This might sound good, but at least when this was done in Finland in the 90s, sexuality education was not integrated, it was disintegrated. It sort of largely dropped out as no teacher was responsible for programming or coordinating of the topic. And since 2002, we have had sexuality education within one larger topic called health education. And this has worked well because the teachers have been trained for it. The topic is large enough to have teachers focusing just on this topic. So they are sort of self-selected to do this job. They are interested and receive the training. Like we had teachers of mathematics, we had teachers of health education, including sexuality and health. So this has worked well. This is an overview since 1975 about abortion and delivery rates among adolescents in Finland. From mid-70s onwards, sexuality education slowly improved and services developed, particularly contraceptive services, and both the abortion and delivery rates among adolescents declined to rather low levels. In the early 90s, we had a severe economic crisis. Both education and particularly preventive healthcare services were cut. And as a result, we can see a marked increase in abortion rates. Since 2004, sexuality education was introduced again, just how I described it in schools, reaching quite good levels. And again, we can see that both abortion and delivery incidence numbers decline. In the early part, this was related to mainly sexuality education being developed, and in the last 5 to 8 years, perhaps more services being developed, particularly providing contraceptive free of charge. The expert group evaluated various aspects of sexuality education and tried to find indicators for it. But the majority of literature seemed to focus on impact and not much on program and implementation evaluations. and evaluation has been predominantly focused on public health impacts like the reviews by Kirby, while there is not yet much research available on sexual well-being criteria on positive aspects of sexuality, which are a crucial part of sexuality education and, of course, sexuality as such. The experimental design has been considered as a gold standard, but that is quite difficult for sexuality education, usually not possible to randomize like 5 to 50-year-olds to receive sexuality education or not to receive and investigate their sexual health up to 10 years later. It doesn't work. So other more short-term evaluations has usually been used. In the paper by the expert group, some indicators are listed for further discussion. Recently, a good review appeared by Goldfarb and Lieberman from the US, reviewing 3 decades of research of comprehensive sexuality education, school-based programs to find evidence for possible effectiveness beyond pregnancy and sexually transmitted disease prevention. Outcomes in this review included appreciation of sexual diversity, dating and intimate partner violence prevention, prevention of child sex abuse, improved emotional learning, and increased media literature. And indeed, the review found substantial evidence to support the effectiveness of sexuality education regarding all these outcomes. How to cope with disappointment is an important part of sexuality education. And in the end of my presentation, I will focus more on the younger children below school age, which we have worked quite a lot with recently. The situation analysis and need assessment studies were carried out 2013 to 14 in Finland. About 500 daycare professionals and about 600 parents of 0 to 6-year-old children answered large questionnaires regarding if and what kind of sexuality expressions children show, what children ask, and how adults respond, what are the problems in supporting and protecting sexual development. The teachers reported that children showed daily sexuality-related expressions in daycare and early education. But because of misconceptions and fears, parents and professionals had difficulties to support and protect sexual health of children. Proper responses to children's needs for safety skills, positive body esteem, and empowering children were mainly missing. Particularly, the word sexuality was uneasy to use for children, both among teachers and parents. The difference between childhood and adolescent sexuality was not recognized. That is, it is quite different. So we created a new term translated into English. It could be body emotion education. It is age-appropriate sexuality and safety education for young children. It helps the child to respect and take care of his own body. It aims at safety, well-being, and a positive body image. And the 8 subjects of body emotion education seen on the right part are based of the standards for sexuality education in Europe. And this term was received quite well. Among the implementation solutions were first influenced to make instructions mandatory, convince parents and professionals of the benefits of the subject for children, offering knowledge and attitudes, web pages, media outputs, lectures, trainings, to make models, materials that support children's development available to respond to parents' need and suitable for everyday life. Choose a vocabulary suitable for small children and train professionals. And this was taken up quite well. Responses among teachers was overwhelmingly positive. They reported that after 4 months of body emotion training, the whole atmosphere in daycare has changed. It became acceptable to talk about one's body among the children, its parts and everything related to the body. The well-being of the whole group improved. And there was seen also a change in the children's right, how it appeared. More often than before, it was noticed that the child knows what to do if someone disturbs them, know how to say, I don't like it, I don't want it. And the project resulted in adults taking up these initiatives, becoming relaxed, confident in speaking and intervening. Finally, the Finnish National Agency for Education published a new mandatory core curriculum, including comprehensive sexuality education, also for children 0 to 6-year-olds in daycare. Earlier on, curriculum has been published for pre-primary education and basic education. To my knowledge, Finland appears to be currently the only country where universal early childhood education curriculum for all ages encompasses information related to sexuality, safety skills, and the body equally and obligatory for all children. Each child's individual early childhood education plan is made together with the child parents. In conclusion then, when sexuality is not condemned, but sexuality education and sexual health services are provided, it's possible to profoundly improve sexual health in comparatively small costs. Each year, new groups of young people mature, requiring new efforts. Education, counseling, and services are all needed. If technically possible, I will try to answer your possible questions then. Thank you.
Dan, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. If you will excuse my analogy, you have provided the climax to this Congress by educating us on what we should be doing and how we should be doing it. You are a sex education guru, not just in Finland, but globally, and we appreciate that. I also want to congratulate you because you may not have heard yet, but you have been awarded honorary fellowship of Fiji at this Congress.